One plus is Static or Virgil dealing with the Sharon clone, his sister's clone, has actually made the family dynamic very interesting and very interesting and intriguing to read as the family deals with Sharon and these advanced, happenings in the family, visiting Star Labs and watching Sharon get treatment and sitting in on psych evals and things like that. Even though those things are private, Hardware or Curtis Metcalf is really trying to show Static that is very invested in Static's well-being and everything. So he sets it up so that the family can watch the two Sharon clones and really just watch their responses and see what's going on, because there's a little bit of uneasiness and tension because right now both Sharons think that they are Sharon, and we're led to believe as a reader, one of them is the original, but both are so convinced that the other is a fake. On the one hand, it seems that they're both convinced that they are Sharon, but it's also more interesting that both are more interested that the other is the fake. That's caused a little bit of tension, and it has brought the family together and portrayed Virgil as he's not really taking any sides. He's just trying to. None of the family have taken any sides. It's very interesting watching Mr. and Mrs. Hawkins and Virgil try to accommodate both Sharons. Not to say that they love one more than the other or that they're suspicious of the other. The family's more so letting the Sharons kind of be suspicious of each other. But they're also trying to calm that down a little bit and just keep the family strong and show that that the Hawkins family, it's love. It's all love. There's no one's treating one of the Sharons as a super villain, up to an agenda or anything. Neither of them so far have any reason to believe that. So that's actually kind of cool, because there's a little bit of I did mention that parts of the story aren't very edgy, but rethinking it and looking at these panels here, some of these panels here, like Virgil talking to Sharon, and or maybe it's one of the Sharon clones and just trying to hear her out and see where she's coming from. She was sitting there watching a movie, maybe the 6th day or something, and Virgil's like, you sure you should be watching this, because he doesn't want her psyche, which is kind of fragile right now, and her emotions to get the better of her. The family seems to want the Sharons to focus on their identity as Sharon, but more so as you're a Hawkins, if that makes sense, and that you're loved. That's pretty much what the family wants the Sharons to focus on, that they're loved. And watching the tension and the family try to get that point across, that you're a Hawkins and that you're loved, is actually really cool to watch and to read about, and adds some new dimension and a dynamic to the family and to the Static character, behind the mask. So that's pretty cool. This might be a mix of a pro and a con, I'm not sure. Static pretty much is, he's in a new place, he's in a new city and everything. He's pretty much only got Hardware, also known as Curtis Metcalf, and his family, they're the only familiar things he's got, all of his old friends and any other family that he has are still in Dakota, so they're not with him in New York. So it's kind of interesting seeing Static pretty much have to be isolated, in a sense. He's pretty much, if you know him from old Milestone and you read the New 52, you pretty much see that, well, he's kind of matured, he's kind of, he's not that scared little kid from back in Static #1 back in, Milestone Media. He's been through some things, and, Scott McDaniel and Rosem, the writers are trying to convey that, he's grown up a little bit, and now he's kind of this hero who's got a little bit more support now that his family's been thrown into this interesting situation in a new city and dealing with challenges and tensions in the family. He's got that, and then he's also got Hardware with him on the superhero side. So it's pretty interesting watching that. But watching him go to this new high school is interesting because he's alone again. But he's not alone in the way he was back in old Static, because he's not being picked on. He's being checked out by girls now. That was kind of cool. There are some panels there where he's just, thinking about, the case he's working with the, trying to track down these mobsters. At the same time, girls are checking him out, and he's checking them out, and he's cracking jokes and things about, his Static game and things like that. So he's alone again, but it's kind of different because he's got more of a spine this time. He's been through some things in Dakota, and even though he's in this new place, he's kind of keeping to himself. He's not sticking out like a sore thumb, but he's making sure he's got a little bit of presence also. Because there's this interesting panel where some kids who have become more familiar with Virgil, pretty much trying to feel him out and figure out where he's from. He pretty much admits he's from Paris Island, which was pretty much the hood of Dakota. If Dakota wasn't the hood, they pretty much had, the Narrows in Gotham City, Suicide Slim in Metropolis. Paris Island was the hood for Dakota. So he kind of, he doesn't necessarily represent Paris Island, but he references that, he grew up around there and that he can pretty much hold his own. So it's not necessarily a pro or a con. It's kind of sad not seeing him have his friends, his group of friends like back in old Static. But it is interesting seeing new characters kind of show up, become more familiar and things like that, and kind of feel Virgil out in this new environment. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes.